Desk with Lady Ada.
Hey everybody, and welcome to my desk. We've got some Sunday night sparkle motion going on here. I'm in my PJs and it's like a really cool, nice new shirt. That,
I've never questioned your commitment to sparkle motion.
Thank you.
Ever.
I've got this sweet shirt. Noah and Pedro got this for me for Christmas. Thank you so much.
Yep.
I've always wanted a shirt that says Bitbanger, and was never available for sale on Etsy or whatever. And today I've just got some like really basic samples. I like to maybe we'll do like Sample Sunday.
Sample Sunday?
That'll be our little thing. We'll get back to Ham Sunday. So I got these samples, and we have in the store these pretty nice like metal buttons. And this is, they have usually one color. So it's like usually it's a yellow or red or green or blue. And they're like, vandal proof or whatever buttons. And these are, in theory, the samples that I got, they're RGB. So they have a full RGB LED in the back, which people have been asking for a while. And finally, we found a company that would sell it to us. But one of the things is when you get sampled, you don't necessarily get a data sheet with it, or sometimes the data sheet's wrong. Another thing is I had these customized a little bit. So usually these are made for 12-volt logic or 24-volt logic. So they're meant for like cars, for example, or industrial controls. But the people who tend to use our stuff use Arduino, and so I asked them to do 6-volt logic. So they changed the internal resistors a little bit. So I also have this really nice little whiteboard that I thought I would use. So.
Yeah, meant for talking to heptapods and also doing electronics.
So maybe we'll get eventually a little rag or something. So basically, I thought I'd try showing this off. So basically inside, you've got this switch. And then you've got actually a lot of pins. Usually it's 6 or 7 pins. And what you've got inside,
like a heptapod.
Like a heptapod, yeah, basically.
Okay, just saying.
So one of the pins is going to be the anode, and then you have red, green, blue diodes, and then the thing that I customized is this resistor. So you basically just tell them because LED forward drops are always the same. This is something that beginners don't necessarily know. They just sort of know you look in the data sheet and sometimes it's red 2.2 volts, green 3.4, but actually it's a physics based thing. Red is always going to be about 2.2 volts and green and blue are always going to be about 3.4 volts just because that's just the physics of it. Maybe one day we'll do a deep physics analysis of why that is. But it's basically the same reason a diode is always 0.7 volts, like a standard diode. So this is what we've got, and this is one of the pins, and this is another pin, this is another pin, and this is another pin. I'm pretty sure I got this common anode. Another possibility is, of course, you have a common cathode version. This is not as common. Usually, when you get things, they're common anode. I don't exactly know why common anode is more popular. Historically, it was easier to sink current. And a lot of times, if you have an open drain, you'll be able to sink current easier. So, maybe it's meant for electronics where you would sink rather. But another option is, you have your red, green, blue connections here, and then your common cathode down here, and you ground this, and then you pull this up to, 6 or so volts. What's nice is, this resistor value, I don't know what it is. I can ask the factory what they put in there. It's probably about 1K or so. You don't have to have exactly 6 volts. You can have it be a little bit higher. It's probably okay, probably up to 7 volts. And you can definitely go lower, as low as 5 or 4 volts. It'll be okay. And then separately, you've got, so that's 4 pins are going to be for RGB and common cathode, common anode. And then you'll also have the switch, and the switch is usually, I always forget, single pole double throw, I think. I always get it wrong, throws and poles. But anyways, I think it's single pole double throw, these are the throws. And so you have your, common, and then you have your normally connected and normally open. Not to be confused with no connection, which is, one of the electronics things, we kind of reuse the same term. Anyway, so you should probably have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 contacts. That's expected. Sometimes you have a separate contact for each LED. I've seen that once in a while where they actually give you each cathode and each anode And then you'd have like, 9 contacts. But anyways, let's look at these samples and see what we've got.
Okay. How do you want to do this?
Well, I thought I'd go to the overhead now.
All right.
I no longer have to. How did you put this in here?
What?
How did you?
You have to be able to do alien stuff.
Okay, cool. So I have my Arduino. I'm using Arduino right now just as a 5-volt voltage source because it's got this onboard regulator and whatever. It's all good. Okay, so let's start with this one. So all my samples come to me with the sample ID, a component ID, which is really nice. It lets us keep track of all the components and stuff. But sometimes, I'll get multiple samples from companies, and so like I'll say like, okay, if I'm doing a competitive quote, I'll be like, okay, you send me your breadboard, you send me your breadboard, you send me your breadboard, and so I'll have multiple versions. So that's having them all labeled makes it easy to keep track because you don't want to like keep track and then not keep track and then get the wrong one. So what's really nice about this sample is actually they give you a little bit of a hint. You can barely see on the overhead here, but it says 6 volt B, 6 volt G, and 6 volt R. And then this pin, it doesn't tell you which pin is the common anode or common cathode. But if you look really carefully here, there's like a little bit of NO and C common. It looks like this is the common. Anyways, the good news about LEDs is they're like really durable, especially if they have an inline resistor. Now, if you're not sure there's an inline resistor, don't do it this way. Put a resistor in line with your 5-volt. But since I know there's a resistor in there, you can always, put a negative voltage on an LED, and they're fine. They're good up to like, maybe like 5 volts or 6 volts negative, so it's okay. Like they're not going to get damaged. Also, it's a good thing for me to try because if it does get damaged, then like it's a problem because a lot of people wire stuff up backwards. So I've got these like really nice alligator clips to jumper wires, and so I'll just do B, and then G, and then I like these actually. I got them for like a Circuit Playground and Gem on Flora, but they're actually really great for prototyping. I don't have a red one, so I'm just gonna, I'll bend this pin out a little bit. Yellow. And then, so these three here are the common, normally open, normally connected, which makes me think this is that common pin. So I'll connect to the common pin. And then I'll try both. I'll try both ground and then connect this to 5 volts. No light. So then let's switch it around. I'll try both. You never know. Okay, there you go. Green. Ooh, nice green. And then what's nice is you can also try, you can connect blue if you want. Let's try the blue one. Blue. And then we'll try red. Red. Okay, so now that we know that each individual contact works, you can write a little script, which I have already on the Arduino. They're just handy for, it's like, I used to call Arduinos the printfs of electronics. Basically just like, it's like a standard. If you just want to like, I want a PWM 3 channels. So this is a little sample program. It just goes through the entire color sweep. So it's kind of nice. Looks like the green's a little bit brighter than the red. You can see it pulse a little bit more. But it's also lower the camera. From here, it actually looks really nice. What do you think?
Let's get 1,000 of them.
Okay. So the next thing you want to check is just the action. Kind of nice. The switch is completely separate from the LED, so we can check that separately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say thank you so much for testing that, and I'm going to pull out my little pocket meter. This is my favorite pocket meter.
Where can someone get some of those alligator clip jumper wires?
Wow, are you in luck? You can get them and support us by buying them on the Adafruit shop. We sell them in packs of 12.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Okay.
Okay, so next up, I'm gonna try these 3 contacts here, and I'll just use like standard alligator clips for that. And they're actually labeled. So common, I'll make that green, and then I'll use normally open, and then I'll kind of get the white contact in the middle there. So you can alligator clip them, and then I'll just I'll just alligator clip these to my multimeter, and then check. One of these should be connected. Oh wait, that's weird. No, they're connected. maybe one of them should be normally open, normally connected. Hold on. Geez, why you test samples? That's connected. Oh, you know what? I wonder if this alligator clip's bad. Oh no, maybe I just didn't contact it right. Okay, so that's normally connected, and then when I press the button, it's disconnected. It's weird. Why is it so? I'll tell you one thing. Alligator clips, I love them, but they're also a little bit flaky. Okay, anyways, I think it's the alligator clip, not the button. And then normally open, when you press the button, it beeps. Okay. So, I'm suspecting my alligator clips are kind of wonky. Yeah, I think this one's not so good. All right, so that's how you test a sample. That's pretty much it, you know? So I got 4 versions of these. So this is the momentary, 19 millimeter. And then I've also got a version that's very similar. It's the on-off version. So this version, when you press the button, it stays in. Other than that, it's the same. So testing this is really easy. I'll just go through the entire test for all of them. And then I also have the 22 millimeter version. Which is like super chunky. This one's like kind of intense. I don't know if I'm going to carry this one. It's a bit big and it's a little tough to press. This one has way more contacts too. I wonder why. Unclear. Looks like these are the LED pins, and I don't know, maybe there's 2 switches inside. Anyways, so that's my sample party. What do you think? Yeah, these little RGB LEDs.
Yeah, this is cool.
Nice. Okay, that's all I got. That's my.
That's your desk of Lady Ada for tonight?
That's my desk. Yeah, you know, like you gotta go through and just test everything. Or I'll hook this up again so it's nice and glowy. Let's see, and then green, and then blue. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, did you want to show off your bin?
Oh
with all your
yeah,
stuff?
I can also show off my bin.
Yeah. All right. Well, Scott's in the chat, so he'll like this.
Okay, so while we're
Hey, Scott, check this
preparing
out.
for like
Oh,
some
nice.
epic feather CircuitPython and other testing,
Yeah.
I totally reorganized my feather collection. And so I have these bins, which we actually don't sell that many of them, but I really like them. Like me personally, so we carry them. Like I just don't want to have to like go to the store to buy them when I need them. So I have like an entire feather setup here. So I gotta be really careful
Yeah.
not to spill these. But so I got
This is
all
what my desk looked like. This is like a version.
This was all on your desk.
Yeah.
So these are my M0 feathers, my feather phonas, my 32-4 feathers, my blue fruit feathers, my huzzah feathers, radio feathers, the ESP32, and some other feathers. These are the main boards. So I got like one of each, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then over here I got all the feather wings. So I got like a TFT feather. I got like this new tripler, which I have to finish testing. It's kind of handy, and then a terminal block. Feather wing, and then you know, like the 7-segment and LED feather wings, the Charlie Plex wings, NeoPixel wings, OLEDs, data loggers, servos, motors, Ethernet. More popular than I thought. People actually like Ethernet. RTC relay. Radio, and then like a bunch of like stacking headers and stuff. This
Here's
is
a
the new
request.
MP3 feather wing I'm working on. Yeah.
Someone wants
GPS.
22 GA instead of 24 GA wires for breadboarding.
They want 24, not 22.
They want 22
Yeah.
instead of 24.
Well, we stock 20. We stock 22 only. I think 22 gauge solid core is kind of the best.
Okay.
That's what we stock. Definitely all the coil sets. Anyways, this is my little feather tote.
And then here's
I organized this.
here's a quote from Twitter. The Adafruit live streams are a revelation. Entertaining updates on the latest hardware components and IoT ideas multiple times a week. A revelation. I agree.
Human.
Yeah. No, it's a big deal. No, I think it's a big deal. Any ESD concerns for that box?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. You know, I'll tell you something about ESD. You ready for the ESD rant?
Yeah.
So we actually like have ESD desks and like ESD soldering irons and like all the goodies, and we put stuff in ESD bags. And then like the first thing people do is take it out. Like, they're petting their cat and they're like touching electronics. This is a little bit of the thing. And electronics these days, this isn't like 80s CMOS logic, which like you'd look at and it would like pop.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple chipsets that I've worked with that are very ESD sensitive. Freescale. XBs and the Freescale chip inside of them, they used to pop all the time. They're very ESD sensitive. Maybe now they've updated them because I know they've revised them, but they used to be like terrible. They would break really easily. But since then, the AVRs and with the Nordics and the microchip chips and the ESP32, I don't find that many ESD problems with them. I don't necessarily like suggest like petting your cat and then touching your electronics.
Yeah, but we do that too, and it still doesn't cause a problem. As someone said in the chat, ESD is a myth propagated by the wrist strap industry.
Yes, the conglomerates. No, I mean, like if you're manufacturing
big wrist strap.
If you're doing manufacturing, you should do it because you're getting your hands all over stuff and you're touching a lot of things. And I remember we talked to some people who were doing MakerBot manufacturing, and they said they actually had like one guy who was like static dude, and he would zap all. Yeah,
but they were like on carpet and they were like zapping.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: I've answered tens of thousands of support emails. I don't have to do it anymore. We have an entire team, but we've never had an ESD.
It's never been ESD.
And we've shipped millions of boards.
It's every time it's been like there's a problem. Eventually, if they think it's ESD, like we figure out eventually, it's like like you're soldering or you're wiring. It's almost never ESD.
It's kind of like I feel like we're living through
Flaky alligator clips are a bigger problem than ESD.
When I was younger, the big thing was like, watch out when you put your camera through the X-ray at the airport. You don't even hear about that anymore.
That's because nobody uses 1600 ISO film.
Right.
But yes, no, it's not a big deal.
But you used to hear about it all the time. Yeah. Watch out for your cameras, and like once in a while. And we don't travel on planes that often, but once in a while, there'll be someone in front of me in line, and they're a little older, and they haven't gone on a plane trip in like 10 years, and they'll say, hey, watch out for your cameras, because it's still the thing that people remember. It's a myth. It doesn't matter anymore. But it's stuck in their head forever.
There's a couple things. So ESD, for manufacturing, it doesn't cost anything. By the way, so when we got desks, getting them with ESD coating, and we have the desks that have the power strips in them, so they have a ground already. Like if you're gonna get a power strip, they just tie the ground to the body, and like now your ESD, like whenever you sit at the desk and you touch the desk, you're basically you're discharged. We don't have carpet. Don't have carpet in your manufacturing.
And Scott's in the chat.
We didn't like ESD the floor. That doesn't make sense.
Scott's in the chat, and he said something that's very powerful. And we all pet our cats and do electronics.
Yes.
No, we just do. Like I pet MOSFET all the time and do electronics, and you know what? It's fine. It's fine. The cat's even named MOSFET.
The ESD diodes are pretty hardcore these days.
Anyway, so don't freak out, everybody. That's what I'm saying.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I would, when we ship stuff, we use ESD. If it doesn't cost anything to do the shipping, and of course we use ESD foam, but for the most part, it's really that's not what's causing people to break their electronics. It's not usually ESD.
Yeah.
Not that if you're doing manufacturing, if you're doing medical, if you're doing like production manufacturing, yes, of course you should have like ESD testing and facilities.
But generally speaking, for like the Arduino-y stuff that all of us do, don't go crazy.
You don't have to go crazy.
It's okay. If you're doing a MakerBot,
if you're gonna get a Mac, get an ESD Mac.
If you're doing a MakerBot factory in Brooklyn, like maybe get the carpet out or something. Like maybe that's something. Like I agree with that.
You can get ESD carpet. You can get ESD everything. I will say that there is a little bit of like the sales guy showing up. Do you need ESD stuff? It is like,
dude,
I don't call it a racket. But it's a little bit of a racket.
There was a feeding frenzy when
we did the build
when
out.
we first moved out of our apartment into a factory. All these salespeople are like, let's try to figure out if they're chumps. And so there were salespeople showing up at Adafruit every day saying, you need ESD or you're going to die. you're gonna die alone and you're gonna get cancer on your face.
So true.
And they were just like, they were insane. And we're just like,
insane.
no, that's actually, we don't think we need that for this. We're gonna purchase these other things from this other vendor that's
I
like
have
10 times cheaper.
The person who like asks questions like, okay, I regret asking this question.
Just saying.
Anyways.
Just saying, like scaring people. Like if you're a salesperson, I don't think you should go in scaring people. Like you're gonna die alone. Like, that's not a good sales tactic.
That's pretty intense, yeah.
Anyways, Uline tried to do that too.
Yeah.
So okay. All right, that's desolating.
Yeah. I'm also not 100% convinced of the like the humidity stuff either. Although I
The board dryers.
The bakers and the dryer. That's also a little bit. Actually, something interesting. The person who did our pick and place, the pick and place tech, whose name I won't mention for protection. He basically told us like, yeah, all this ESD stuff is like a scam. He says like, I've never.
Oh, I guess the Golden Globes are on, by the way. I guess that's a thing. Like right now, there's the Golden Globes.
So what?
No, someone said thanks for doing this because the Golden Globes are on.
Oh, okay, something different.
Yeah.
The winner for best peripherals.
Best live electronics show.
We should totally just do. We should definitely do electronics gossip because it's interesting. The more people we talk to in the industry, we get like funny gossip.
Yeah, I could do
about
TMZ.
chips and
I got a little
company mergers.
I got a little bit of a rant since I'm off camera.
Oh, you're right. You're not even the floating head.
I'm not going to be even floating head tonight.
Okay,
Can you get that little box of stuff that you have? The
Which
feathers
box?
and the your box of things.
The bin.
Yeah.
The tote.
Yeah. I feel like it's okay to do this. Okay, so hold it up. Yeah, lots of feathers. Yeah, lots of huzzahs, all this stuff. Yeah.
Some not released ones
Yeah,
either.
not released ones. It's not yet. Don't ask.
NRF52 feather. I gotta go
Yeah.
get that. Maybe tomorrow we'll do a stream while I show the tester for it.
Okay.
Wow, look at this.
All right. So here's my like, you wanted some electronic gossipy stuff?
I mean, the viewers do.
The viewers do?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right. So last year, Make did a big roundup of boards. They had like a board issue or something.
Yeah.
And I guess the editor in chief at the time was Rafe Niederman.
Yeah.
And Mick was really upset that Adafruit was doing so well. That we were making boards and selling boards and doing a really good job. We were making Arduino. They never covered that. Arduino's made in the USA.
Mm-hmm.
So they did an entire issue devoted to boards. And they forgot to put in the feather line. And Rafe called me up and he said, I'm so sorry I forgot to put in all the feathers. I don't want you to be mad at me. And I said to Rafe, I don't think you should worry about me being mad at you. You should worry about your audience and your community not seeing all the boards that everyone's using. Because Feather took off, Huzzah took off. These are all the boards. Like Hackaday, they'll write about feathers and huzzahs, but they won't link to it. Because the name that cannot be linked to, the name that cannot be spoken. So it's interesting when you're successful as an electronics company, what other people in the community, especially the community leaders do, is remove, first they ignore you, then they make fun of you, and then one type of thing. But, you have an entire bin full of feathers and huzzahs and all that stuff.
Tote.
And
Tote.
So anyways, Rafe was fired or let go when Make cleaned house. But I always remembered that the editor-in-chief of Make was more concerned about us getting mad at him than actually servicing their community and showing what people actually.
No, okay. Oh, yes, right. You said he was.
He's fired, laid off last year, and I really think that makers in the Make community were set back quite a bit because a lot of people rely on Make to have an unbiased view of all the different boards. Now things have gotten a little bit better. They've included other boards, but they also included boards that no one uses because maybe they were advertisers or they got, some type of sales deal with the Maker Shed. But
is it about ethics and make journalism?
No, I'm just saying that's the type of things that happen if you're an electronics company. So that entire bin, that all those things that you have in there, that should be a series of articles or a guide.
There's 50 of them.
And there's 50 of them. The feather wing, the ecosystem. So one of the things, if you're a maker company, don't wait for someone like Make or a Hackaday or whatever other publication or website to cover your stuff, you should write about it yourself, because sometimes things get weird. And if you do a good job and you're successful, some companies and some entities won't link to you. They want to make sure you don't get in the spotlight because they can't stand that you did a good job. Okay. So that's
your rant.
Maker gossip for tonight.
Okay, anyways, the main purpose of Feather, though, it was successful because I haven't seen any Kickstarters lately that have been like a plug-and-play ecosystem. I was just so sick of seeing them. I was like, enough like stacky board ecosystems. I'm gonna just like make a really good one, and then like people don't have to like keep Kickstartering, and then they never get them because it like never works out. So I've succeeded. So we have a couple other Featherwings coming out. MP3 Featherwing and Amplifier, that's coming out in a couple weeks, and then the NRF52 Featherwing, which will be NR52 Feather, which is nice. It uses the Arduino core. I've been cross-testing it, and then I have to get back to the ESP32. I gotta go check in to see how the ESP32 is doing. It was like not completely finished yet, but if they've gotten it to a better spot, I'll feel like
okay.
it's ready
One
for
question from the
beginners.
chat: What is the biggest source of failed boards since it's not ESD or a former editor leaving it out of make?
Stop. The number one.
Look. Here's the thing. The current crew that's there, they're doing a better job. Like Caleb and team, they're doing a better job. But I just have to say, that's what happened last year. That's what I lived through last year. It's a whole new year, so I get to talk about last year.
Adafruit has never been in Make.
Well, not in...
As a company, no.
They've not featured us the way they featured other companies, that's true.
Yeah. Okay, so the number one failed boards. So the number one thing we see is not even failed boards, is people using charge cables or sync cables. I get like 10 a day. And I'm actually starting to modify my bootloaders to warn people because people don't know these.
I get those.
These charge cables are driving me crazy.
Okay,
they're like a.
I know. Here. Good news, bad news. Ready? Ready? Good news, bad news. Good news is the power cables are nice because you don't have to worry about, some type of security issue.
But it should say like on it somewhere.
They should be
charge cable.
They should be red. Striped.
Like remember.
Like
crossover cables?
No, they should. Yeah, they were
yellow.
Yeah,
well, they're always yellow.
Yeah.
So
No, they should only
yellow Ethernet cable crossover.
They should only. Hey, SparkFun, that's an idea for you.
And it would say the crossover on it.
Yeah, they should just be red.
Matter.
Everyone should agree. Red USB cables of any type mean charge only.
Yeah.
That's it. We should all agree.
Okay. Second thing that people do is they don't solder on well. Like they think they're soldered, but they're not. So cold solder joints are like a high 2, number 2. Actually destroying boards is really rare. I actually get a report every week with all the damaged boards that we replaced, and we replaced maybe like 10. Failed
board after manufacture is to be specific.
Yeah. But so we get like 10 a week that have failed that we replace.
So if we get over,
we get 1,000 orders a day.
It's higher. Yeah,
items.
let's say between 1,000 and 2,000 orders a day, 5 days a week, right? Let's say between 5,000 and 10,000 quote boards out there because there's multiple ones. We get maybe about 10 RMAs
a week
at the most.
Yeah,
a week, and what's the
half of those are hours.
Yeah.
You know what the thing I see the most actually is power boosts when people they don't.
You're doing freaky stuff with that.
They over pull them. They pull they try to pull like 3 amps or 4 amps. They short them. The TPS boost converter is a little, it's a little delicate. It doesn't like it when you, especially if they use motor drivers, so that like these huge spikes of current, that'll kill them. So that's actually the number one most common thing. I've actually been reading a little bit. There might be something it can do. If it's something in the switch pin, it can put like an RC snubber. I don't know if that's the issue. But yeah, long cables on boost converters. Boost converters are actually kind of like the most common thing to die.
You want to do another question?
Yeah,
and
sure.
then we're out. What fixes do you do when the test fixtures find failures?
Well, that's a good question. So we have about 1% 1 to 2% failures after test. Sometimes it's the tester, by the way. Like the testers, like for example, if I'm testing an audio board, I look at the output waveform, and like, you know, there's going to be variations. So sometimes I'm a little too strict about like the peak-to-peak waveform because I measure it with an analog digital converter and I look for the peak-to-peak waveform. So I have to kind of put some guideline there, and sometimes there's variation. So that can be it. The testers sometimes are a problem. The most common issue that we have to fix is bridging. especially on the USB connector. I'm working on revising stencils, like going forward, all the stencils will have skinnier pads. But bridged pins are like by far the most common failure mode, and we detect bridged pins, so we have to go through and just fix them up. So that's what Vance does. So if you see our Manufacturing Monday, we have little videos, animation clips of Vance. He goes through and he's good at soldering and cleaning them up. But we do a paste inspection, but even with that, there's going to be some failure.
Yeah. Okay.
That's most common. It's almost never like a wrong component or like a rotated part. That has happened to us, but we have procedures now for checking stuff. Like we check the reels to make sure the components aren't rotated. We check the components multiple times. We check the feeders. We have like multiple checks. So it's been at least 100 days since actual pick and place error. So usually it's actually not tombstone parts. That doesn't happen to us very often.
No.
I was always like scared, like, ooh, tombstones, that happens, but actually...
No. Even when we had a test drive, it wasn't a big deal.
This never happens. Maybe it's because we get good pads, but it doesn't happen very often. Now with the oven, it really almost
I think
never
you
happens.
designed for manufacturing really well.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it. If y'all want to buy something in our store, that'll keep this up because...
The alligator clips are jumper wires.
Yeah.
Do you want me to give them the PID?
Yeah, you want to go to your computer real quick?
Yeah, I can go to the computer.
All right. You want to show them these jumper wires, right?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
This Desk of Lady Ada was brought to you by...
Alligator clips. If it's not alligator clips, it's not alligator.
Actually, let me think if I can... Sorry.
Except no imitation.
How come it searches? Being wonky.
Yeah, maybe you have like all sorts of things
I
installed.
have like 8,000 like ad blockers.
Yeah, but our site doesn't have any of that stuff.
Weird. Maybe it's okay. Okay, let me find
I think it looks like your fonts are different than normal. I think you do have. You were probably testing some type of thing.
I was doing some messed up things. So let me look at where's my prototyping? Do you see prototyping? Prototyping.
Yeah. Why don't you go there instead?
My computer's being a little wonky. My computer was so bad. I was doing like that USB bootloader testing yesterday. It got so bad, I had to not only reboot my computer, I had to shut it down, unplug it, change all the USB ports, and plug it back in. It was like a total mess.
Yeah.
It was cool. I've totally screwed up this computer's USB port. Here it is.
Yeah, this is it. All right, so buy some of this stuff because
This is what it was brought to you. The small alligator clip to male jumper wire bundle, 12 pieces.
I think you're logged in as a reseller too, by the way.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
Great. Well, you can see if you're a reseller,
Yeah.
buy 50, 40% off.
Yeah. Say we got that going on. Also for hackerspaces and makerspaces.
And hackerspace and makerspace.
Anyways, so that's what we got going on. Buy
Yeah,
some
look.
stuff because you know what? No one else is gonna help us out. It's just all up to you. All you watching. Oh, you see that thing? By the way.
Oh.
Yeah.
Speaking of.
Yeah. Tomorrow night, unless something changes, we'll have our DNT, our Do Not Track article. We show how to enable Do Not Track on all browsers. The problem is sites still don't respect that, and then we show how to use Privacy Badger, and then we also have our privacy policy that's super duper clear. So while we like people copying our hardware and our code, please don't remove our names and pretend you did it. But while we like people doing that, we also want them to copy some of our values, which is take a look at our privacy
What a
policy.
nice privacy policy. Look how clear this is.
Take a look at all the things we do and what we don't do, and we're going to keep updating it more. I got to do that canary thing, so if we get a subpoena or a government request, it'll show that we have that. I got to work on that. That's
Okay.
the next thing. Anyways, yeah.
Okay.
Fight like hell, make cool art. That's
So-
Desk of Lady Ada for tonight.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Bye.